All right, we're good to go.
Okay, very good. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 7th, 2021 meeting of the Brighton Zoning Board of Appeals. I guess, excuse me. So, Rick. Good evening, Rick. So, we have no minutes tonight, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. All righty. So, Rick, was the meeting properly advertised, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, is advertised in the Brighton Pittsburgh Post of December 31st, 2020.
Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Primo,
Here.
Ms. Schwartz,
Here.
Ms. Tompkins-Wright,
Here, sorry.
Ms. Dale,
Here.
Mr. Mites,
Here.
Ms. Watson,
Here.
Ms. Schmidt.
Here.
Please let the record show that all members are present.
Okay, so the board members are pretty familiar with the Zoom format, I guess, just to make it go along smoothly, if we can keep our remarks, to the subject, and then, you can kind of give a wave or whatever so that we can recognize who wants to speak related to questions or the applications themselves. So we have, I think, 8 applications to get through tonight. There's a couple. You want to read the postponements, Rick?
Yes, if anybody in the audience regarding 1075 Clover Street, which was application 12A0520 and 12A0620, that has been postponed to the February 3rd meeting. And also, if there's anybody in regards to 1675 Monroe Avenue, application 1A0121, that application also has been postponed to the February 3rd zoning board meeting.
Okay, very good. All right, then at this time, I guess we can begin. So,
Application 1A0221, application of Jennifer and Jesse Road for an area variance in section 205-2 to allow a front porch addition to extend 5.2 feet into the 40-foot front setback required by code, also described in application and plans on file.
okay, very good. Who do we have speaking for this application?
Hi there, this is Jesse. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Great. Can you see me okay?
Yes.
All right. Yep, I'm here for this application.
Okay, so go right ahead, sir, and let us know what you're doing.
So we currently have just a little kind of square front stoop in front of our door that's starting to sort of deteriorate. We did a temporary sort of fix when we moved in a few years ago. That was always meant to just be a temporary fix until we could get a little more time to redo the front porch, and now is that time. So what we want to do is, build a front porch that gives us a little more room for a seating area and, a little bit more cover and protection when we're going in and out of the front door. Right now it's, I have 2 little kids and we get stuck a lot on the front porch between the railings and the storm door and the steps. So hoping to have a little bit more space for all of that, as well as a seating area to enjoy, sitting out in the morning or whatever and have a little protected area in the front of the house. So we're hoping to bring the front porch over to the side of the house, across the front half, 5 feet out. And, I can't exactly remember, 16, 17 feet total width. So that obviously sticks into the setback, which is why I'm here tonight.
Okay. Very good. Questions by the board members?
Dennis, I have some.
Go right ahead, Kathy.
Could you describe a little bit more? I just missed some of it. I guess I just couldn't find some more particulars. Can you describe what the porch would be like? In particular, are you planning on having it be an open porch, or are you thinking of sides and screens and glass?
There you go. Perfect. Hopefully that helps answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah, open porch, just a simple roof with a little peak to put the number in and give a little interest over the door there. Yeah, but open with railings is our plan.
And I see in your picture you have a little bit of landscaping. Are you planning on putting in some landscaping around that?
Yeah, so currently we have on the left hand side, we actually have a tree. You know, in my modeling program, I couldn't find a tree that fit very well, so I threw a couple of grasses there. But I will leave the tree on the left hand side, which is kind of in front of the window on the left hand side of my house. I would like to put in some more landscaping. Right now we have a couple bushes and some grasses in the front there, so I'd replace those at some point once the porch is finished.
And do you have the dimensions finalized for how large the porch is going to be?
I believe they're in this plan. I'm not sure who's in control of this plan, but if you can go down a few, yeah. So if you go down like 1 or 2 more pages, there's a floor plan, I believe. Yeah, so 17.5 feet wide by 6.5 feet depth. And that should be noted, that's to the wall on the first floor. There is a little overhang in my house. A lot of the houses in Brighton seem to have that like foot overhang to the second story. So this is to the first floor wall.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, is there any other questions?
I had a quick one. It does look like most of the homes on Sylvan Street are pretty uniform in how far they are from the road, but I just want to confirm, there are houses on your same street that do have kind of either porches built out or extensions that are extending into that front.
There are some that,
setback.
sorry, yeah, there are some that do have front porches. I don't know what the actual, the dimensions are from the right of way for those other houses, but there are some other houses that have similarly sized front porches along Sylvan Road and throughout the entire neighborhood. There's some new ones that I think are pretty similar in size. They kind of extend for half the house and stick out enough so you can sit there comfortably. And plenty that are, older, built with the home originally, I'm sure. So, but yeah, there's definitely some that have similar sized front porches.
Okay,
Thank
very,
you.
very good.
Where did my word ball go?
Okay, any other questions? Okay, very good. Okay, sir.
Sorry about the interruption.
Okay, thank you very much, though, for
Yep.
your presentation.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else for me, or you
I
good?
think you'd be all set.
Okay, thank you. Thanks all for your time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone on the conference that would like to speak regarding this application? Okay, that being the case, then the public hearing is closed.
Application 1A0321, application of Nicole DeBrill, owner of property located at 400 Clover Hills Drive for an area variance in section 203-2.1D6 to allow a standby emergency generator to be located in a side yard and move the rear yard behind the house as required by code. Also describe an application and plans on file.
Okay, and who do we have speaking?
It's Nicole DeBrail.
Hi, Nicole. Whenever you're ready, then please proceed.
Sure. So I want to put in a standby generator, and I can't put it directly behind kind of the main house, if you will. The areas in green are kind of the main house, if you will, and there's glasses or there's windows and sliding glass doors there. I could put it off to the right where the blue is where behind the garage. If I put it there, they have to dig trenches to do so, and it would cost an additional $1,000 to $1,500. Or I can put it off to the left side there in the red. It would still be behind part of the house, but I guess by the board's description, that's technically the side. So that would be $1,000 to $1,500 cheaper. It's right next to the AC unit. It's still behind part of the house. It's not seen from the road. And the neighbor over to that's on that side is, I believe the property line is about 45 feet away. and their house structure is 90 feet away, and it faces their garage, and they have provided consent.
Okay.
Okay. So questions by any of the board members?
Yes.
Or
Judy.
Nicole? Yes.
What time will they be testing it on its weekly test? Do you know?
I don't know. If I have control over that, if there's any preferential time, I'm happy to ask to have it done at that time.
Yeah, usually it's daytime so that it doesn't disturb, the neighbors. Even
Sure.
though they're a distance, you can hear testing. So I don't know, some like mid-morning or early afternoon, if you can, I think would be arranged to do that. And the other thing is, your utilities are over on the side where everything is red because the AC is there too. Is that a fair assumption?
The utilities are not over there. I'm thinking the utilities are on the front of the house.
Oh, well, not far then.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Very
you.
good. Okay, other questions for Nicole? Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so is there anyone on the conference that would like to speak regarding this application? Okay, there being none, then the public hearing is closed.
Application 1A0421, application of Guy Donahoe, architect, and James and Tracy Sconfietti, owners of property located at 55 Oak Lane for area variances from section 203-2.1B3 to 1, allow a detached garage to be constructed in a front yard in lieu of the side or rear yard as required by code. And 2, allow said garage to be 900 square feet in size in lieu of the maximum 600 square feet allowed by code. And an area variance from section 207-6A to allow the detached garage to be 22 plus or minus feet in height in lieu of the maximum 16 feet allowed by code. I'll describe an application and plans on file.
Okay, and who do we have speaking for this application?
I don't see anybody, so if there's somebody that is here for the application, raise your hand or start your video.
This may be the one that the applicant said that they could be coming in late because they had another 7 o'clock meeting. So why don't we hold it and move on to 1A0521?
Okay, that'd be fine.
Okay, 1A0521, application of Anderson Water and Power Agent and Kenneth Brooks, owner of property located at 38 Riches Dugway Road, for an area variance from sections 203-2.1B6 and 203-16A4 to allow a standby emergency generator to be located in the side yard and move the rear yard behind the house as required by code. I'll start an application and plans on file.
Okay, and who do we have speaking for this application?
Good evening. This is Santina Gerstner from Anderson Water and Power.
Okay, very good. So go right ahead and let us know what you're trying to do.
Yes, we are going to install a Cummins standby generator for Mr. Brooks. He cannot be with us to attend the meeting. Unfortunately, he is on life support. However, we have been working to secure a permit for Mr. Brooks to install his standby generator. And he only has 10.5 inches of property line on the rear of his home. And because of that, we are looking to get filed for a variance for a side installation. We are not opposed to the rear installation. It does not look like there are properties or things close to the rear of his home. However, he will have enough space on the side of his home. I don't know if you have the drawing pulled up. Facing the home, it will go to the left of the front of the home, past the driveway. And we're hoping we could have this approved for Mr. Brooks to go on the side property, as he does need the generator for medical reasons.
Okay.
Just for clarification, for the record, I think it's 10.5 feet to the rear property line from the house,
Yeah.
not 10.5 inches.
Sorry, I'm looking at this little tiny diagram.
That's okay. I just wanted to make it clear for the record.
Yep. And it is a Cummins generator. They only test twice a month on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday, and we do set them so they do not start the engine. So it is the quietest generator on the market, and we will set it so it will not start the engine when it does set the test time. It's 2 p.m. The 2nd and 4th Tuesday of every month.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yes, go right ahead, Jen.
So with 10.5 feet available in the rear property line, that is not sufficient for a generator. Forgive me, I don't know how much space is needed.
9 square feet.
Okay, so it would be tight.
And another regulation of the code is that even if it was in the backyard, it still would have to be 10 feet from the lot line.
Yes.
So they would be for a variance either way. If they put it behind the house, they're going to be in there for a variance for the proximity to the lot line. This instance, they're just asking for the variance to be on the side of the house. They'll meet the 10-foot requirement in this way, but it's on the side instead of the rear.
Great. And just for the record, could you describe what vegetation is around that side yard? Will it be screened at all from the neighbors or the street?
I did look at the aerial view of the property. I have driven by there. I live in Brighton, and there is vegetation. It's kind of overgrown in the front of his home, so it is not an eyesore by any means to go on the side of the home, because you really are not able to see much of the home from the road.
Thank you.
Do you know if the homeowner spoke to the neighbor on that side that would be adjacent to the generator?
No, he is not. He's not able to leave his home, so I know he is not. We did post the sign as instructed in ample time for anyone to be able to, to contact the town and make a request against us installing the generator for him. And I do not believe you've received anything. We have not been notified of any.
And when you're deciding which side of the house to place it on, is the recommended spot, is that like in proximity to existing air conditioners or others, or why did you choose that side versus the other? Maybe proximity to
because the other side there is a concrete wall, an asphalt, and a grill on the other side of the home. So that is why we chose the side of the home that we have. And if I looking at an aerial view from the map, there, is really the best place to place the generator.
Just for the record, I did speak to the property owner next door, explain the situation.
Okay.
After talking to him, it did not seem like he had any objection to the request by the applicant.
Oh, thank you.
Can I ask a question though? For the record, approximately where is the next door neighbor's house in comparison to where you plan on placing the generator?
It is, I do not know if we have an aerial view. I'm just pulling it up on my computer right here. Did the homeowner, the next door neighbor, call into Brighton, into the town?
Yes, I spoke to him directly.
Okay. Yeah. Looking at the aerial view here. There is a neighbor. It's fairly wooded. The area.
Am I correct to say that the neighbor's house is much closer to Rich's Dugway than the applicant's house? So basically that generator would be across from open backyard, not another structure.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Hey, very good.
Mr. Mites, this is Ken Gordon. If I could ask
Sure.
this brief question of the presenter. You, and not to be indelicate, but you described the owner as being on life support. Can you just confirm for the board that the owner is conscious, competent, and aware that you're proceeding with this application?
Yes, he is. And we've actually we have someone that we've been in contact with that is helping him with the generator installation. He had to secure a site survey because he did not have a site survey. So we have been working with Beth Collins, who is one of his assistants, and she actually, coordinated for the site survey. This site survey that we are looking at was just performed because he has been living in the home for a long time. He did not have a site survey. He could not find one. So yes, we have been in contact with Beth Collins, and she is working with us to install the generator for Mr. Brooks. He is on oxygen, so that's part of the reason he wants the generator installed.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Ken, that's good. All right, anyone else with any questions for Vanessa? Okay, thank you very much, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Is there anyone on the call that would like to make comments regarding this application? Okay, then there being none, then the public hearing is closed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next three applications are for the same property, so I will read all three applications, so please be patient. Application 1A0621, application James Fahey, architect, and Wendy Frieda and Bruce Dan, owners of property located at 561 Winton Road South and 575 Winton Road South, for an area variance in section 207-16A4 to allow for 2 access points after combining 2 lots into one, where only 1 access point per lot is allowed by code. Also described in application, plans on file. Application 1A0721, same applicant, same owners of properties located at 561 Winton Road South and 575 Winton Road South, for an area variance in section 205-2 to allow a new home to be constructed with a 34.5-foot rear setback in lieu of the minimum 40-foot rear setback required by code. All is described in application and plans on file. And application 1A0821, same applicant, same owners, same property, for a temporary revocable use permit pursuant to section 219-4 to allow for 2 dwelling units to be on a single lot where not allowed by code. I'll describe an application and plans on file.
Okay, very good. So who do we have speaking?
Good evening, everyone. This is Jim Fahey from Fahey Design Associates. We're representing Wendy Frieda and Bruce Dan on this project. And in a nutshell, what the Friedas are doing is they own both properties, 561 and 575 Winton Road South. They currently live in 575. What their plans are is to combine the 2 parcels and raise the home at 561 while they maintain residence at 575 through the construction of a new single-family dwelling on the property. Following completion of the new home, they will then take residence in the new home, demolish the home at 575, and they will be leaving the foundation of the existing 2-car garage at 575 to construct a superstructure over the existing foundation for an accessory detached garage. So we're combining 2 properties. We're building a new single-family home on the property with an accessory detached garage. So I think if we step into the first variance request that Rick had read, there obviously with 2 parcels now, there are 2 existing curb cuts. What we are proposing to do is, since we're building the detached garage directly over the footprint of the existing garage for 575, we would like to keep the curb cut at that location so that they can get direct access from Winton Road South to the detached garage for a vehicle that they'll be storing in that. They will be, as you can see on the site plan, they'll be keeping only a portion of the existing asphalt that there is now. That portion of the house, of the yard between the new home and the proposed detached garage will be their main entertaining space for the family. They have a large family with 7 grandkids, and they like to entertain family get-togethers at the house. So that existing asphalt that's showing to remain is going to be a basketball court for the kids. And then the rest of that yard between the detached garage and the main dwelling will be grass and outdoor living. The remaining portion of the driveway will be removed and replaced with a GeoGrid paver system to allow more of a natural feel to the property, but have the durability to be able to bring a car in and out of there under any weather conditions without rutting. So we're asking for that second curb cut, but in essence, we have 2 lots that already have 2 curb cuts. We feel that what we're doing here is really a positive. We're providing access to the detached garage with the existing curb cut at 575, but in removing the majority of the driveway and turning that into green space, I think we're working in a very positive direction here. You know, if we were forced to bring our driveway out of that detached garage and kind of swing it around or serpentine it around to the driveway for the new home, we'd have much more coverage on the site. And I think it would just be, wouldn't be attractive at all. It'd be a long driveway sweeping across the majority of the property. So that in a nutshell is why we're asking for the second curb cut.
So I've got a couple questions, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about why the design includes a separate detached garage as well as the 2-car garage on the house itself, versus just having the attached garage. And then, because I think if you had just the attached garage, obviously you wouldn't need the curb cut. There wouldn't be the need for the second driveway at all, and it could just be grass.
That's true. I think that there's a couple of reasons behind this. And as we got into the design of the project, we talked about several things. They want the ability to be able to store more than 2 cars. We're in a neighborhood that, although it's a very eclectic neighborhood when you look at it as a whole, when you start going back into Rhinecliff and Highland and all the other roads that are part of this neighborhood, it is somewhat eclectic, and you get varying lot sizes and varying homes. But where we are right now on Winton Road, we fit into the neighborhood much better with a home with a 2-car garage from a scale and massing standpoint. So the conversation led to having this detached garage that is fully compliant with your building and zoning codes, from setback, size, height. We're staying right within it. It gives them the ability to park that 3rd car that they want. And it also gives them the ability to have it as a spot when the kids are playing, where they can go in and out of that as a place to get out of cover when they're outside playing and it's close by. There will be no plumbing in this garage. There's nothing that would lead anyone to use this for anything other than a garage. I mean, we're not putting any plumbing in it at all. So it's a combination of wanting the storage for the garage, finding it attractive for use when the kids are out playing in the yard, and also to maintain this house. And if you saw the rendering that I provided with the package, I mean, this house fits seamlessly, in my opinion, into this neighborhood of many of them are old English and French style, Tudor style homes. And I think that in combination is what got us to do what we did.
Thank you. I also wanted to ask you, I noticed in the application, there's a statement that there will not be a visible driveway leading from the road access to the detached garage.
Correct.
And I do understand about the pavers with grass, but I'm not really sure why that makes it invisible. So I was hoping you could explain to me a little bit about why there would not be a visible driveway to the detached garage.
The pavers become pretty much, grass is growing through these pavers. This is an open work geogrid structure. It will be grass. When you're driving down Winton Road, you will see grass leading up to the asphalt that we have, which will be the play court for the kids. It will not look like, it's not pavers that grass grows between them. This grows right through it. All this is doing is providing a sub base for a vehicle to drive across that grass surface without rutting the ground. So it's a green infrastructure type of construction. It gives them more area for their front yard entertaining. And it also, I think, visibly is.
And I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this type of, if you're walking across the grass, can you not, you can't see the pavers at all?
You may see some slight portions of pavers, but when you're looking at this, especially from the road, it will look like grass.
I think one thing is important to remember is that the apron area that basically leads out on Winton Road, that would still be retained as asphalt. So you will still see the curb cut and the asphalt apron. But once you're onto their property, then you would see grass. So on the other side of the fence, you basically see a grass field.
Until it gets to the asphalt.
Correct.
Right.
Basketball. So the asphalt that will remain for that basketball court will go right up to the garage door?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
I just had a question.
yes.
With respect to the pavers, how is that maintained during the winter? I mean, do you plow them, or how does that work?
Well, the Dans actually spend their winters in Florida, so that will see virtually no action in the wintertime.
So you wouldn't be plowing it, is that right?
I doubt it. If it would be a very, very rare occasion to do that. Now, I put geogrid pavers on many properties for similar types of situations with carriage garages and so forth. And they can be plowed with care. You just have to make sure that your whoever's maintaining that driveway understands that you have geogrid pavers, and they'll hold their plow slightly up above. So you can get a path, but you have to be careful. No question, you have to be careful about ripping it up if you dropped a front end on it too deep, too hard. But it probably won't get plowed in the winter. They actually leave, they're a 6 month a year in Florida, and 6 months back here.
Okay,
I was wondering, it's Judy, if you had a rendering or something of this paver situation with the grass. Personally, I visualize, it looking like weeds coming up, but you say not. I mean, you showed the house, and it would be nice if we saw the full, rendering of what the new property will look like. And I think that would be helpful to see. And really, in essence, you're having 4-car garage, not 3. I don't think we have 4-car garages around, certainly not on Winton Road or in my neighborhood or Bel Air.
It's actually, Judy, I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, but it's actually only 3. If you'll see, we've only got a single car garage on that garage.
You said one would have parking and the other would be where the kids would go. To me,
No. What they would do is when the kids go into their play, they would actually pull the car out of the garage, but it only has a single car. Rick, do you have the detached garage in your packet there?
You didn't say it was a double car garage now?
Yes, it is. Okay, so that's the dwelling. The detached garage is right there. So it's a little bit over 500 square feet, but we're designing it. And we're trying to tone this thing down on the property, but we have only put a single car garage on it. So it's a really attractive accessory structure on the property, but it only will be able to take one car because we're not giving it the ability to have more than one. And then he can keep tools and things like that in there to the side of the vehicle.
But you don't have a rendering of what this paved driveway is going to look like, or paver driveway is going to look like? You don't have an example of it?
All I can tell you is it's going to look like grass. And if you've never seen a GeoGrid paver, you probably have seen them and you just don't recognize it because it looks like grass, but it's what it looks like. You put them in where you don't want. There you go. Appreciate who pulled that up. When it's grown in, it does not look like anything but grass.
Because it's a very, 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 very pedestrian area, very. So.
I'm sorry, Judy. So when you're saying that in the sense of what?
I just hope that it really is going to look like lawn rather than,
Well, their idea is they're going to entertain as much on their side and their front lawn as they will in their back. Well, part of it will be. I mean, they've got, again, a big family, so they're using all of this house, but it will look like grass. That is, that was a critical thing for Wendy and Bruce to make sure that it had that appearance. So it will. It's going to look like grass. But just like the photos that were just put up, it's when the grass grows through it, you barely see any paver system at all.
Jim, can you talk about just how often, this vehicle that's going to be stored in here, is this something that's going to be used on a daily basis, like maybe the other side of the house garage, or is this like some antique car or something that's not being used all the time? What's the use here?
I don't have the answer on that. I believe it's just a third kind of a hobby car setup, so I don't believe it's an everyday use thing. But I can't give you a frequency of pulling in and out of there.
Okay. All right. Is there any other questions on application 06, which is the 2 access points? And then Jim can go on with 7 and 8. Any other? Excuse me.
Andre, I just had a quick question. I'm assuming because the locations of these curb cuts aren't changing at all, that there's no need for any kind of additional permit or approval from county DOT?
The curb cut for the new home is not in the exact location as the curb cut for 561 now. So 575 curb cut will remain exactly where it is. If you look at our plan and where we have our new curb cut for the home, it's further to the north of the existing curb cut at 561. So that will be filled in, and then a new curb cut will be placed for the new dwelling.
So will you need an amended permit or approval from Monroe County DOT?
I believe that all the site work is being done by Land Tech, and they're well along with that. I believe that came up in the planning board meeting. There's contact with the DOT. They're moving in a very positive direction. So I don't see that as being any kind of an issue at all.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead then, and let's proceed with application number 7.
Okay, the next application is for a rear yard setback variance. And that's the reason we're asking for that is, again, the Dans are here principally in the warm weather months. So their outdoor living amenities are very, very important to them and how they live. And Wendy got very specific with me on their use of this covered screened-in porch in the back. And that area that we're asking for the slight variance is designed to accommodate both a dining table, a small gathering area, and then a grilling station that's back there. So we we just couldn't get it to work and have proper maneuvering space without bumping the screened-in porch back several feet from the back of the home. So it has very set needs for them that I'm designing to. I think if they wish it could be even deeper, but I told them we really have to. Did you lose me?
Yeah, go ahead, just repeat the last sentence or so.
Okay. Anyway, I think the bottom line is, number one, it has very specific needs and uses by the homeowners, which is what dictated the size of the porch. I think it's important for the board to realize that this is a neighborhood. This is a very eclectic neighborhood of accessory structures and encroaches onto setbacks. If you look at the site plan right up on the screen right now, you'll see that at 72, 64, and 54 Rhinecliff Drive that are bordering the property to the rear, all have accessory detached garages that are within 5 feet of the property. There's a mature stand of trees along that area. So looking at this is from a standpoint of disruption or out of character in the neighborhood, this slight variance request is definitely not fighting the feeling or the whole appeal of the house fitting into the neighborhood. I mean, it's within the character of the neighborhood. There's homes that, again, neighboring homes that are encroaching equally as close as this, existing structures. Some may be additions to the structures, but they definitely are encroaching as close as we are to our rear property line. And I think it's also just important to understand that the existing house that's on there now has a hard cover over a deck that is actually 28 feet from the property line now. So when it's noted, you can see on 575, it shows where the deck is, it has a hard cover. So that's 28 feet plus or minus from the property line. We're pulling our house much further back than that, and this covered porch is going to be 34.5 feet. So we're picking up over 6 feet of clearance from the existing back of a covered structure on the property now to what we're proposing for the new home.
Okay. All right, any questions related to this part of the presentation?
Yes, thank you, Dennis.
Go ahead, Judy.
Okay, question, just it popped into my mind. How many years have they lived at this property or had both of the properties? Do you know?
The 561, they just recently purchased for this plan to do this work. 575, they've been in there. I don't know exactly how long, Judy. It's a number of years, but it's not. I think it's under 5 years. I'm just guessing.
Oh, so that's not long. Okay. And I have a question. You said that the properties on Rhinecliff are very close to the lot line, but there's a huge difference in my opinion. Those are all garages and there's nothing open facing the neighbor behind them. Whereas this is a screened-in porch. And you said they've got 7 grandkids. I would imagine at least 1, possibly 2 parents for all those kids and so on. And in the summer when they are here, voices really travel quite easily in warm weather. This is new construction. And to me, perhaps it could be tweaked so it does meet code. I mean, it's 5 feet. I don't know how far you are with your front setback, but it just seems that it could be tweaked to meet code because it's brand new construction. It's not like an addition and you're confined and so on. And did you really consider trying to bring it in to code?
Absolutely. My first drawing, if you look at this house and you look at the setbacks, I originally designed the house with that porch lining up with the back wall of the dining area, which is the next closest point to the rear.
Mm-hmm.
And I purposely designed it where we could have a 40-foot front yard setback, which is code, and a 40-foot rear yard setback, which is code. And this was, and I mean, I worked diligently on making this house work. And I was told by the Dans that it just isn't going to work for them. They need this depth of a porch to make their living arrangements and use of the porch work. So I'm here with a homeowner's request. I'm sure you hear that from architects all the time, that they're doing their best to work within the zoning and also to satisfy their clients' needs. But, and I fully understand it. If this, you know, I understand the concern. I understand feeling that there could be issues when you're granting setbacks like this, but you know, their existing outdoor deck where they spend a lot of time is closer than this. I think so from a standpoint, their family's no larger now than it was this past summer. And they were back there entertaining on an open deck area closer to their neighbors than this will be. And there's never been a complaint. And I also, I'm trying to, in the context of this neighborhood setting, there are many homes that are closer than this. And I named 3 that had accessory structures. And you're right, those are accessory and they can be closer. There's a house that's, I believe 2 Rhinecliff is a home that's much, much closer. It's 3 doors down, much closer than this. And, you know, I didn't go through a full survey of all the homes, but I guarantee you if I had an hour or 2, I could give you a number of them that are equally as close, if not closer. It's just how these neighborhoods are.
Would you, Jim?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yep, fire away.
Go ahead, Jim. What about, you know, how far are those houses, you know, on Rhinecliff away from the 34.5-foot setback?
The one at there's one at 2 Rhinecliff and then 447 Oakdale. I don't have their exact distance, but I guarantee I know they're closer. I've seen them on the map there. And that one looks like an addition to an old house where it might be a garage that went back there. But I think we're improving the setting on this site with what we're doing. We're going from a house that has a hard cover at 28 feet, we're going to 34 to another unheated covered porch. So that's an important thing to remember. This is an unheated covered porch. It's not, and it's a 1-story structure. We're reducing our lot coverage by over 6%. We're doing so much good on this property. This is the only variance that my clients have asked me to approach the town with. The curb cut is, I think that's a technicality. You got 2 lots, you have two curb cuts. Property that's 210 feet wide, I'm not sure why it shouldn't be able to have 2 curb cuts, especially with a detached garage. But anyways, I think you know these neighborhoods well, and you probably have had many of the homeowners come before you over time. And there's just many that have varying setback variances.
Jim, I have a question. I know we're talking inches here, but why did you pick a 41-foot front setback and move the 40-foot that's necessary?
I think, all right, so that wasn't selected by me, that was by the civil engineer. And I think the reason he did it is he knew that we were asking for a variance, and instead of pinning the front property at 40 feet, he gave them a little extra room so that they didn't have to pin it. If that 1 foot of difference was important to this board, we would pull the house forward to 40 feet in a heartbeat.
The only reason I make that comment is that at least that would make the house proper meet code. I mean, right now the house proper is, extending, 0.8 feet into the rear setback.
Yep.
And then you're only talking about a screened porch. But I mean, that's for the board to.
I would absolutely do that before we, to get with our final site plan approval. I would have no problems, and I know that Wendy and Bruce would have no problems pulling that foot back out.
Okay. that's something we can certainly discuss later. Is there any other questions related to application number 7? The rear setback. Okay, then Jim, go ahead with number 8, please.
Okay, number 8 is purely a temporary use permit, revocable use permit to allow Wendy and Dan to live in 575 during the construction of the new dwelling. And I gave you that quick summary at the beginning. As soon as they get the C of O from the town of Brighton, they will move over into the new house and demolish the existing and finish the detached garage and all of their exterior hardscaping and landscape features. That will be about a year, we're estimating. If all goes well, they would like to start this construction in March. They've already picked a builder. They have a very good builder on board. And we are estimating it could be up to a year max that they would need to live in their existing house before taking ownership of the new home.
Okay. All right. So are there questions related to the,
Just one quick question. Did I miss it, or did you, I know you said that you would quickly demolish the other house once you're able to move in, but is there a time frame of what quickly means?
I believe, Rick, what are we limited? There's a time frame on the revocable permit, correct?
That is correct.
So
yeah, and then that would depend on what the board felt comfortable with and giving you that time frame. If you think that it's going to be, it's could be done within a year's time, maybe they give you 13 months, just for a little bit of buffer there. So the temporary revocable use permit does carry a time frame on when that structure does need to be demolished, because after that they would be in violation of the code. Does that help you, Kathleen?
It does. Thank you.
all right. Very good. All right. Any other questions on number 8?
I have one. So
Yes, go
you're
ahead.
saying it's going to take a year to build that new house? Is that including demoing the one that's up there now and then?
yes, it could. It could. It's all, and I think that would be what our late winter conditions are and our early winter conditions are this year. So it's a safe number, I think, Judy. This is a custom home. So, and I think they're going to want to make sure everything is done right. So I think a year is a safe number.
Well,
one other method we could use is that they probably would be just granted a temporary C of O for the new house, with the condition being that the existing house has to be removed. So we could issue the temporary C of O for 30 days, at which time gives them that 30 days if it corresponds with the TNR. So there is another method to hold them to getting that second house down quickly.
right. The reason I ask, I know that by starting, you say in March, they may not be able to do something on, every day of the week, but during good weather, they will be there every day working on the construction of the new house.
Oh, absolutely. As you know, in construction, time is money. So the contractor, once he gets going, he's not going to want to stop. Danrich Homes is the builder. They've been a quality home builder I've worked with them for almost 35 years. So it's a well-oiled group and a team, and they're very respectful. We've had discussions with the neighbors and making sure they're aware of everything that's going on with construction. And so it's.
So they're not the type of company that's going to work on the house, 3 days this week and then go to another project for 2 more days. They're going to be there doing just one. The reason I am concerned is there's a lot of traffic on Witten Road. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic, and this is really going to impair quite a bit. So I hope that this is going to be taken into consideration. It's a very busy street. I live over there, not in that neighborhood, but across the other side of Witten. So I know it really, really well. And I can wait at the end of my street to get onto Witten Road for quite a while. I mean, it's a little different now with COVID, but you can wait a long time. So there is considerable traffic. And that was my concern, that this be done as, you know,
Yeah, no,
as
it's a
quickly
great,
as possible.
I know it's a great concern, but I mean, I'd love to tell you this will be 9 months, but we're just not 100% sure. But once construction starts, I can assure you that it will be,
Right.
it's not a hit and leave type of thing. I'll be working
Okay.
every day.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Okay, any other questions on these applications then? Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
You're welcome. Is there anyone on the Zoom call that would like to speak regarding these 3 applications? Okay,
Well, I see David Feldman on the line. I know he is a neighbor. I'm wondering if he has any comments.
I'll ask him to unmute.
Yes, this is Roberta Feldman. I'm on David's Zoom account. Let's see.
There you go.
I don't know if you can.
yep, you're all
see
set.
I can hear you.
Yep, go right ahead.
Thank you. So we are the neighbors to the direct north.
Okay,
And I honestly think this is going to be an improvement. The house at 561 is empty right now, and I think that it doesn't have as much architectural significance as the new home that's going to be built. And I wasn't aware of the type of pavers, but I think that will just give us less asphalt and bring us some more green space. As far as the porch in the back, I understand that it could be maybe moved, move the whole thing closer to the street so that you're not looking for the variance. But as far as noise from kids, it's beautiful noise as far as I'm concerned. So I have no objections. We don't have a fence right now from our house to 561. There are fences along the back boundary line, but it's open grass for maybe four yards. So when my kids were home, the whole thing was their playground. So I don't have any objections. I've seen the plans and I'm a little concerned about a year's worth of construction, but I've been assured that, weekends, hopefully it'll be quiet and that they want to get this done quickly. So that's all I have.
okay, thank you for your comments, appreciate it. Is there anyone else in the conference that would like to speak related to this application? Okay, there being none, then the public hearing on these 3 applications is closed.
Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Application 1A0921, application of David Crow, architect, and Matthew and Kimberly Jones, owners of property located at 96 Chadbourne Road, for an area variance from sections 203-2.1B3 and 203-9A4 to allow a detached garage addition and platform deck to be 3 feet from a lot line and move the minimum 5 feet required by code. I'll describe an application and plans on file.
Okay. Who do we have speaking?
This is Dave Crow, architect for the project, and I'll talk you through what we're proposing here. So,
Just could Dave, could you just give us an address for the record, please?
yeah, it is 96 Chadbourne Road.
Your address.
Your address.
Just an address for you.
Oh, I'm sorry, probably 99 Garnsey Road, Pittsford, New York.
Okay,
My
great.
office
What?
update.
Okay, thank you. Just go ahead and proceed.
Sure. Okay. So in the very back rear of the property to the far north is an existing garage, and it's a 2-car garage. It's original to the home, and so the owner is proposing to put an addition, which is going to be a shed addition, onto that. Where it's a 229 square foot addition, so it keeps us under the 600 square foot maximum allowed area. And the existing addition, or the existing garage, is 3 feet from the north property line, as you can see from the site plan. And what we're proposing and hoping for is that the addition could ride along that same line, being 3 feet from the property line. And the reason for that is because it gives us a nice little setback between the face of the garage and the face of the addition, so that it just looks very nice, and there's a nice massing and stepping to it. The existing garage is 18 feet wide. The proposed shed is 18 wide on the east-west dimension, so the 2 ridge lines connect on that basis. So it just has a nice sort of look to in the back of the yard, which is very important to the owners. So, and that's really about it. There's not a whole lot more.
Okay. So did you try, what did you try to pull it up? I mean, what did it look like?
Well, the complication is just sort of
difficult.
basic, yeah, basic geometry. It's 18 wide on the driveway side, and so our addition is 18 wide. So those 2 ridges at the same pitch converge at the same point. And so we didn't want to change the dimension, that 18-foot dimension, because it looks very nice with the ridge lines lining up. And when we bring it forward, of course, then we lose that step in the front. You can see where the garage steps back to the addition. There's just a nice little 2-foot offset. And they just think that it looks very nice, and they're hopeful that that's something that we can accommodate. So,
Can you describe what is behind the existing garage and this new addition, or what will be behind it in that 3-foot setback?
it is a flat, grassy area. As soon as you get to the property line, there's a very old natural stone retaining wall that goes up about 30 inches to 36 inches. And then that is the backyard of the neighbor to the north, and that rises up fairly steeply as you head north. So we're at the very back, for that neighbor, we're at the far back southern edge of that line. So there is enough room to walk down there, and they have grass in there, and that needs to be maintained. So, it is 3 feet now behind the existing garage, and that,
right,
I'm going to say 7 years has worked out really well. But
okay, so they feel they can maintain it properly and all that. Okay,
absolutely, yep.
Okay, very good.
Dave, can I just verify some of the numbers you were just speaking of? The
Sure.
existing garage is 18.2 feet wide, and this addition
Yep.
is 12.75
Yeah,
feet
but-
according to the plans, not 18 feet, correct?
Exactly. Well, it's 18, Rick, on the north-south face.
Right.
What would be the east elevation?
Okay.
That is 18 wide.
That's what you were
And,
talking about, the
because-
18 feet. But the width
Yeah,
of it
and-
is 12 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to.
You got it exactly. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we worked very hard to keep it under 230 square feet. So
Okay.
Can you just
229.
can you just explain a little bit about the deck? What's the
Yeah,
what are they
it's
going to
just-
use the deck
it's
for?
Sure. It's a place to sit in the summer. They've got a deck at the house, and they were hopeful for that deck, just another area to enjoy. They've got a very nice garden area back there. It's heavily treed, very lovely backyard, and it's just another place to sit and enjoy the.
And the deck itself is just a platform, no railings, no permanent seating, anything like that, correct?
That's correct. It's less than 30 inches above the adjacent grade. There's no need for guardrails, and it's simply just a flat wood deck with a Trex surface. Wood frame.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Other questions for Mr. Crow?
Yeah, Judy,
Yes.
what is the purpose going to be for this shed?
It's primarily storage. They have 2 cars, and that existing garage is just barely large enough for the 2 cars. So really more in the winter, but it's about lawn furniture and athletic and exercise equipment and kids' toys and all the sorts of stuff that you accumulate and you need for a fun summer season, and you try to find a place to put in the cold winter season.
Okay, and what
So-
utilities will be in it, if any?
The only thing we're running to this building is electric. No water, no sewer, no gas.
Okay, okay. And the reason, I mean, to me, it looks, to me, when I looked at the plan, it looked like 2 stories. And the reason being is you wanted the roof to line up nicely, and that's why the dormers were in and everything. So from an aesthetic point of view is.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. Is there any other questions for Mr. Crowe? Okay, very good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. Is
Thank
there
you.
anyone in the conference that would like to speak regarding this application? Okay, there being none, then the public hearing is closed.
Application 1A1021, application of Borgin Eyed Imaging Leasing and Anthony J. Costello and Son Development, owner of property located at 995 Senator Keating Boulevard for a temporary revocable use permit pursuant to section 219-4 to allow a mobile PET/CT scanner to be on site for approximately 4 weeks were not allowed by code. I'll describe an application and plans on file.
Okay, who do we have speaking for this application?
Joyce Stahl, Director of Clinical Operations for Borgin Eyed.
Okay, Joyce, go and just give us a address for yourself, please.
I reside at 2263 South Clinton is my main office.
Okay, very good. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much. Probably about 2 years ago, I presented to the board that we wanted to bring in a mobile PET CT scanner. And after you had approved that, the project got delayed and then the project was then canceled. It's back on the table now. They have equipment purchased to replace our existing PET CT. And in order to do that, to maintain services for our cancer patients, they'd like to bring in a mobile PET CT scanner and park it on the side of the building, same as we did in 2010. There's currently 15 parking spaces along the side of the building there, and 2 of them are handicapped. We'll be using up about 12 of the parking spaces, but we will not encroach on the handicap parking spaces.
Okay. Now, how is the parking utilized today? Is there times where that might be an issue, or would you believe it not to be an issue?
The entire parking lot has 368 spaces, and that side of the building, the parking is mostly filled with employees.
So you feel you can maneuver that around and,
Yep, we're gonna make them park further out to the side.
okay. All right. Are there any other questions by the board members?
Sorry, this is Member Andrea, right? The structure, the shelter that was going to be built last year or that 2 years ago that you applied for, is that still being planned as part of this application?
There will be a covered walkway that's still being put together. It was not available to me at the time of this call.
Okay. And the last application, we extended it for a 6-week period because we weren't quite sure when the start date was. Are the start and end dates of its use specific this time?
I can tell you that as of today, they plan on bringing the mobile in on the 12th next week. And then the mobile would get pulled out on the 11th of February.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions by the board members? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone on the call that would like to speak regarding this application? Okay, there being none, then the public hearing is closed.
Hey, Dennis, I'm gonna go back to application 1A0421.
Yes.
Again, I'll read it. Application of Guy Donahoe, architect, and James and Tracy Scanafetti, owner of the property located at 55 Oak Lane for area variances from section 203-2.1B3 to 1, allow a detached garage to be constructed in a front yard in lieu of the side or rear yard as required by code. And 2, allow said garage to be 900 square feet in size in lieu of the maximum 600 square feet allowed by code. And an area variance from section 207-6A to allow the detached garage to be 22 plus or minus feet in height in lieu of the maximum 16 feet allowed by code. I'll describe the application and plans on file.
Okay. So do we have the architect or the homeowners?
Yes. Good evening, members. Thanks for your patience. We just got off of the Zoom call and Skinny Atlas.
Could you just identify yourselves and the address, please? Your address.
Guy Donahoe, architect. My daughter-in-law here, Angela Donahoe, also architect at Donahoe Group, located at 4503 Northwest Town Line Road in Marcellus, New York.
Okay. Very good. Then go ahead and proceed.
All right. So I'm here to represent, obviously, Jimmy and Tracy Scanfietti. On July 8th, a storm came through Brighton. I think it leveled a bunch of things, and one of them was a very large tree had fallen on the structure that was a detached building on their property. The structure was completely demolished. The town was helpful in allowing us to immediately demolish that building. It was a safety hazard as it stood there. So when I met with the Scanfiettis and we talked about rebuilding that garage as they would be permitted to do, we also wanted to explore the idea of making some improvements to that structure. That structure, I believe, is probably original with the house. I believe it was an older agricultural building. It was, I say that because it was timber frame. And the building had been modified to be able to use as a vehicle garage. But I believe the building was 20 feet deep, 20 by 28, I believe. So it was a very difficult building to be able to put a vehicle in. The height of the ceiling inside the existing space was about 7 feet. So likewise, they had some sliding doors on there, but it really wouldn't facilitate an overhead door, or at least not to build it exactly the way it was. So we wanted to explore, if we were going to rebuild this building, we wanted to explore what our options were for this lot. And I did send out a bunch of material early on in the pursuit of this for an informal review by the board or some of the members of the board. And the property, as you can see from the site plan, is an extremely unusual shaped property. And it fronts on 2 different streets. And the property actually has no rear yard and very little side yard. Especially as the front yard being defined by the front of the building. So our options, our compliant options seem to be to rebuild the structure as it existed where it sat. But again, the challenges of that as far as being a garage to service the house, as well as the maneuvering of vehicles is very difficult. We could technically attach the garage to the house and perhaps put it, I know that was attempted at one time to attach to the house and put it to the west side of the house, but that too required a variance. So the only places to be able to attach it would be directly onto the north side of the house, which is the kitchen, the dining, and the breakfast area and all glass. attach it to the east side, which would face the street, or put it in the dooryard on the south. Even that is the one place where we could actually put the detached garages in the dooryard in the south too. But that's the opposite side of the service or family entrance to the house. Kind of like putting the master bath in the basement for a second-story master bedroom. So the original location seemed to be really the ideal location. And so what we proposed to do was to rotate the building so that it was 5 feet off the property line. It previously was 5 feet to the building, but it fell short of the required setback in that the overhang would have been closer. Well, we've moved it to 6 feet so that the overhang will be 5 feet from the property line. We've angled it so it will allow for us to make better maneuverability, the typical maneuverability with the vehicles in and out of the garage. And we've enlarged it to become a 3-car garage, whereas it was a 2-car garage. Again, we do not have the reasonable ability to attach it to the house. And again, I'll remind the board that that was attempted and denied some years back by the previous owner. I made the building 2 stories as the building was before for the storage because the type of construction that this building would be. The area upstairs is really about the same size as the existing building was, due to the fact that a great deal of it is taken up with a truss structure. The downstairs is indeed bigger, whereas the garage was slightly less than 600 square feet. This is 900 square feet. I picked on 900 square feet, despite the fact that it is beyond what the code would typically permit. It is what the town has identified in its zoning as a reasonable or maximum garage that would be attached to a home, understanding what a typical home really desires to have for garage space typically today. I would also like to point out to the board, relative to the size of that building, the fact that this property has no rear yard excludes this building, except with the granting of a variance, from any other additional structures. We cannot put a trailer in here, a storage trailer. We cannot put a tool shed in here. We cannot put a horticulture building. We have no other buildings that we can develop on this property without the benefit of a variance.
Guy, can I just interrupt you for a second there? There is a rear yard on this property. Again, it would be the rear, it would be the front of the house, but by code, that would be a rear yard and would allow for accessory structures. So basically, south of your front wall of the house, that would be all rear yard for this property.
Okay.
So I just want to make that clear.
Okay, thank you, Rick. I had sent that in before. I did not hear back on that. And I had drawn that diagram, if you recall, because I really had a difficult time understanding how we would define the yards. But okay, then I stand corrected. So we perhaps we could put some other development in the dooryard or that south lawn. It's not really a desirable place. I think the neighbors would agree as well, to post up a building in that south lawn of the dooryard. Then relative to rebuilding this building in this location, the owners have talked to the neighbors, particularly the neighbor to the west, who suffered some of the damage when the tree fell as well, and was concerned about our plans for redevelopment. And I would imagine she may have even reached out to the town regarding and stuff, and she was very supportive of this application. As a matter of fact, rather than rebuilding the garage as it is, by our slight adjusting it to run parallel with that northern boundary, it allows those garage doors to even be further from her view, if you will. And obviously, the less maneuvering of the vehicles is a positive thing as well. And it restores the privacy of the neighbor to the north, which is not that far from that northern boundary line.
Okay, what else do you have, sir?
I think that that is it. I do not wish to push the board with the height of the building. I think that was something that I had proposed based on my understanding of how the zoning might have read relative to building height. But I understand that the town defines the building height for the accessory structure as 16 feet to the peak of the building differently than it defines height for a primary structure. But I will point out the existing structure was 20 feet tall. And again, I had a second story storage to it. And we really did, just like most of the buildings and homes in the area in the main building here, they all have a very rich, robust pitch on them. And we certainly wanted to maintain that architectural character of this building and the neighborhood.
Okay.
So real quick, just to kind of follow up on that point, the 2 additional feet that you're looking for as compared to the prior non-conforming garage is due to the severe peak or the pitch of the roof line for this garage?
Well, Andrea, I'd say that probably is accurate. I just mean that the existing building, whereas the zoning code calls for a maximum of 16, I erroneously thought that I had achieved that. Because the height of this building is 16 feet tall through the middle of the sloping space. But that's not how the zoning defines it. So it was not my intention necessarily to, I guess what I would say is that I would like to maintain the shape of this building, the height of this building. I wasn't really looking for a big push to push the board to get 2 more feet of height there.
Could this be designed in a very similar fashion, just 2 feet shorter to keep it consistent with the conforming garage?
It most certainly could.
Okay. And just one unrelated question, no plumbing and or other utilities, only electric in the garage? Is that accurate?
I'm sorry?
Just electric.
Just electric, yes. No plumbing.
Okay.
It won't be insulated or heated as well.
Okay. But there is going to be a loft up there in the area that you could have some height.
Yes, yeah. And again, that loft that's up there is about the same square footage as the loft was in the existing building.
Is it going to be loaded with a stair, or how is it going to be accessed?
Yeah, there's some building plans in the package.
Okay, yes, I see it. I'm sorry, I forgot. Okay, very good. All right, good. Okay, other questions by the board members? Okay, thank you very much.
I'm unfamiliar. You guys have done a very good job with all the materials that you have supplied for me. I'm unfamiliar with the process that the town of Brighton takes in the consideration of this request.
Okay, I can answer that quickly. So what we do this yours is the last application we have a presentation on. We'll close the public hearing and we'll maybe take a couple minute break. And then what we do is we go through the applications and deliberate on them this evening. And then there's a decision rendered on each of them. If you would like to stay on, you're welcome to listen to those deliberations. If not, then you can call Rick tomorrow in the building office and find out what the result of the application was.
Would it be, although I would of course be very curious, would it be helpful to stay on should there be questions that were wanted about?
I would say 99.something% no, because we really don't entertain more discussion. The public hearing's been closed, so it's really discussion of the board members, and we very rarely ask an applicant to add something.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you very much, members.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that would like the audience? Oh boy, anyone that would like to speak regarding this application? Okay, then the public hearing is closed. So do we want about a couple minute, 5-minute break here or is everybody willing to proceed? You want the
I
break?
think a
Okay.
couple minute break would be good.
Yeah, okay, that sounds great. We'll take no more than 5 minutes, okay? Okay, we got everybody back? Looks like it. See all those faces?
Hey,
Rick?
there, Ken.
I couldn't hear you, Rick.
We don't have Ed or Ken yet.
Do we need to, do we need to stay on the screen this way, or can we go back to a gallery for the decisions and talking, or do you like
Yeah,
to? leave
Jeff,
this-
Jeff will turn off the shared screen so we can go back to seeing everybody.
Is that okay to do?
Yeah, unless
Thank-
we need, if we need a plan, he can bring it up.
Okay, thank you. I think it's helpful if we can.
Yeah.
Sort of see.
How's
each-
that?
Thank
Good?
you.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, still, neither of those guys are on yet, Rick? I can't see them all.
No. Ed's back on. There's no Ken yet.
There's Ken.
Oh, there's Ken.
There you go. Okay, let's proceed.
I'm here. I've been here. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem, buddy. All right, let's go. We're starting with 1A02. All right. So that is 114 Sylvan. And what say we? Does anyone have any issues with us?
No.
Pardon me? No issues? Okay, I certainly don't. So, Kathleen?
My only question, and this is to Rick, is it important to discuss the size of the porch? It's not part of the variance, but I wasn't sure if that was integral to the variance itself, that it seemed like an attractive size when we're authorizing it.
Yeah, Kathy, I think you can just basically say it's per a porch as per plan submitted. So you don't have to give an actual size of it, but basically you're saying that that's the porch that they can build is what was submitted in plans.
Okay.
Real quick, Rick, and it may just be my copy, but I did not have, I had like a quick rough drawing, but I didn't have all of the like architectural.
No, that was not submitted to us, Andrea. It was submitted, I think Jeff got it from the Architecture Review Board application. We did not get those as part of our packet. So I was a little surprised when I saw it too.
Oh, okay, good. Well, not good that you were surprised, but I would just make sure, Kathleen, that you mentioned not just plans submitted, but also presented here. Because, you know, in essence, that's, you know, it's not just the size, it's also the appearance of what was presented.
Okay.
The 3D one you're talking about, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Kathleen, when you're ready.
Okay, I'm just adding that twist. Okay. All right, I move to approve application 1A-0221 based on the following findings of fact. 1, the request is to allow a front porch to extend 5.2 feet into the 40-foot setback required by code. The home's current front door portico does not allow for seating, nor does it provide an adequate entranceway, in that only one person may be under it at a time. 3, while the variance is self-created, the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby properties, as other properties in the neighborhood have front porches that are in the setback. Moreover, there is no evidence that there would be a negative impact on the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Conditions: The variance will apply only to that which is described in the application, the plan presented at the hearing, and testimony provided, and will not apply to future projects. The front porch must remain open. The homeowner shall plant landscaping, and all necessary building permits shall be obtained.
Second.
Okay, very good.
Sorry, Jennifer, was that a second from you? Yeah. The motion is to approve with conditions. Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins, right?
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz? Ms. Schwartz,
You're a moot.
you're on mute.
Mute, can't hear you.
Come on,
I'm
Judy.
sorry, yes.
Mr.
It's much
Ms.
safer. I'll tell you what they plan is great.
Okay,
Mr. Primo,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
and Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Let the record show the motion approved with conditions.
okay, very good. All right, so the next application is 400 Clover Hills for the generator. Is there any issues with this? Okay, Judy,
Okay. Did anybody have anything, say anything?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
go ahead.
I move we approve application 1A0321 based on the following findings of fact. 1, the extent of windows and doors with windows and a concrete step prevent the installation of the generator in the rear yard. Placing the generator behind the garage would necessitate digging a trench across the entire backyard with a substantial extra cost. 3, the generator will not be visible from the street and will be placed near the existing air conditioner in the side yard. 4, there will be no detriment to the character of the neighborhood as there is significant vegetation between the side yard and the proposed location of the generator. The neighboring property is between 90 to 100 is between 90 and 100 feet between the two homes or the nearest home. Conditions, this variance only applies to the side yard location of generator as presented in testimony and written application. 2, all necessary building and planning approvals must be met. And I'd like to put one in about the hours of the weekly testing. Can I do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the generator will be tested weekly between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m.
And can I just modify your number 2 to just say all necessary building permits shall be obtained?
No, I always do that. Yes, you certainly may.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I got Andrea with a second. The motion is to approve with conditions. Mr. Primo,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins, right?
Yes.
And Ms. Schwartz.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, very good. Okay, the next one is Oak Lane with the 3 pieces to the variance. Why don't we circulate around on this one? We just heard this one. Kathleen, thoughts?
It's a beautiful home. If they are choosing to wish to spend their money that way, I hate to try to stop it. The one thing that gave me pause, well, there's like 2 things that gave me pause. One, I was concerned about construction for almost a year. I don't know if that's worthy of a discussion within the group, but that did give me pause. And I wasn't sure about the noise issue. To me, that was the one thing, the idea of imploding a home or however
Yeah.
does that.
Kathy, we're talking about number 4, which is the detached garage.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about the
Oh,
one.
no,
that-
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's on Oak, this is Oak Lane, the one with the detached garage at the property line.
Yeah, just the last one we just heard.
Okay, no, I'm fine with that.
Okay, good. All right.
Remember what she said when the other ones come up. right?
Yes.
Well,
All right.
on the one on Oak Lane, I mean, did I understand the testimony right, that he did think he could
Yeah.
get rid of the 2-foot?
Yes.
height
Yeah.
variance?
I think that's something the board should consider, that maybe maintaining the pre-existing nonconformance of the previous structure might be giving them something, but not giving them everything type of.
Yeah. What the way that roof pitch is, that 2 feet, you would never notice it really. It's but so to have, in other words, that it would work just fine without the 2 feet. So.
Yeah, I guess that's how I started to rewrite this approval as an approval of the front yard and the size, but I wasn't sure if we can approve this third element of the variance as amended to be 20 feet instead of 6, instead of.
Well, Andre, what we can do is just break them out in parts. And then when you get to part number 3, which is the height, just condition it that it can't be any higher than 20 feet.
Right. Yeah, which is in essence where the pre-existing structure was. Okay.
But do I say that I approve the variance request to permit a detached garage to be 22 feet and then condition it to be only 20? Is that
No, you
like,
can say, you can basically say, I mean, they're not officially modifying it per the application. I think what you want to say is that you might want to state in your motion that as originally requested at 22 feet to be 20 feet. Don't say as modified, because they didn't request the modification.
Right.
So you can just say it, and then we condition it that it cannot be higher than 20 feet.
Right.
Right, effectively, they applied for the variance. What they applied for was 22 feet. You're saying it's being approved with conditions. One of those conditions is that the roof not exceed 20 feet.
okay.
I think we can craft that up.
We've done that before, so I think that's safe way to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's how I would vote on it, that we give them 20 feet instead of 22.
Okay. How about you, Jeannie?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. And Jen?
Yeah, I feel the same.
Okay. Judy, you're all set?
I agree, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then go ahead, Andrea.
I might need a few more minutes to change the language on this one, but so I move to approve application 1A-04-21 with respect to A, the variance requested to allow a detached garage to be constructed in the yard in lieu of a side yard or rear yard. B, the variance requested to allow said garage to be 900 square feet in size. And C, to approve with additional conditions, the variance with respect to the height of the garage, all is described in the application and plans on file. Number 1, the granting of the requested front yard and size variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby properties. The general location of the proposed garage is comparable to the former garage that was demolished on the property and will thus appear in line with the current character of the neighborhood and consistent with the past structure. 2, the requested variance is not substantial, given that the prior non-conforming garage was already located in the front yard. And while there is an increase in square footage, given the significant size of the property itself at well over 1 acre, the size of the garage to be constructed is appropriate for the lot. Number 3, the benefit sought by the applicant cannot reasonably be achieved by any other method or without variance. The garage requires reconstruction/replacement due to damage sustained when a tree fell. No other areas of the property are more appropriate for a location of a replacement garage. And further, the applicant testified that with respect to the size of the garage, it was integral to their parking and storage needs. Number 4, there is no evidence that the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. With respect to the requested variance to permit a height of 22 feet in lieu of the maximum of 6 feet, applicant testified that a height of 20 feet was the minimum necessary to accomplish their goals. The granting of a 20-foot high or 20-foot tall garage will not produce an undesirable change or in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby properties, as it is consistent with the height of the prior non-conforming garage at the same location. Condition, is that good?
Yeah,
And
that's
then I'll
fine.
condition.
Yep.
Okay. Number 1, the variance granted herein applies only to the garage described in and in the location as depicted on the application and in the testimony given. Number 2, the garage shall not exceed 20 feet. Number 3, all necessary permits must be obtained.
Okay, very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Judy? Okay.
Dennis, just, this is Ken again. I'm sorry. I think, Andrea, I heard you say in lieu of the code regulation requiring a height of 6 feet, I think it's 16 feet.
I certainly have typed 16 feet. Please correct the record to be 16 and not 6.
Correct.
That's a very small, that's a cozy coupe garage.
I thought it was a bleep in the microphone, so sorry.
Might have been that too.
Okay,
The motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Primo,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins Wright.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries. Hey, just before, I just want to say this now because I might forget in a minute or two. When we're done with decisions, there's one other bit of business we have to take care of. So don't just shut off when we get done with that last decision. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so the last call has to be delayed a little bit.
That's right.
Okay. All right, so let's go to Rich's Dugway. This is the generator situation.
Oh, yeah.
So I think maybe we got the description of this gentleman's health issue might have been a little misinterpreted, I guess, but apparently he's on HOMO too, but I'm not sure what his exact condition is today, but I think sounds like they're supporting him. So does anyone have any issues related to this?
No.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, Jen.
I move that we approve application 1A-05-21 based on the following findings of fact. Number 1, the variance request is to allow a generator to be placed on the west side yard where the code requires generators to be placed in the backyard. 2, there is not sufficient room to place the generator in the backyard as there is only 10.5 feet of property to the rear of the home and a variance would be required either way. The granting of this variance would not appear to result in any substantial detriment to nearby properties or otherwise adversely affect the neighborhood as the proposed generator is small in size and will be well hidden by existing trees and vegetation. Number 3, there's no evidence that there would be a negative impact on the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Conditions. Number 1, the variance applies only to the application and testimony provided for placement of a generator on the west side yard and will not apply to future projects. Number 2, all necessary building permits shall be obtained.
Okay.
Second.
Second, Judy.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Mr. Primo,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Watson.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, great. Okay, so the next three applications, I think we can talk about together, and then we would have to approve them or deny them individually. Okay, so why don't we go around the room and why don't you give us your comments on all three of them, okay? So Andrea, what are your thoughts here about Winton Road?
Sure. I don't have a problem with the 2 curb cuts for this one. It's consistent with past use, and we have other properties in the town of Brighton with 2 curb cuts. In fact, we approved this same scenario 6-8 months ago. I don't know, the last 9 months are a blur, so maybe longer ago than that. So I think there's an argument. I'm happy to support a vote, a motion that describes this as consistent, based on past practice and not a change to the character of the neighborhood, et cetera. I also don't don't have a problem with there being 2 homes on the lot for a limited amount of time. I would keep that time short and force them to come back if they start delaying construction. So I think their testimony that they thought it would be a year, and Rick's comment that maybe the board gives 13 months for some extra padding. I like that idea. I don't like giving them much longer than that. And then if something delays construction, they can come back and we can confirm how much has been done. And then with respect to the rear yard, I hear the thought that most of the rear yard encroachments tend to be garages. I don't know if the screen porch is really that much more of an encroachment on living, outdoor living space than a garage. So I'm supportive, although I would, in order to make that finding of this is the, least variance that the applicant needs, I would modify it to force them to push the property 1 foot closer to the right of way, so that only the screened in porch is within the rear yard setback. That would be my thought on it.
Okay, that's good. All right, what about, let's see, Jeannie, what do you think?
Judy?
Jeannie.
Okay. Oh, Jeannie, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure either.
Okay.
It's interesting. I did not know that about the pavers. So that's interesting. If it, the comment about it's going to be invisible, I didn't understand. So that made me feel a little better. I don't have a problem with the second curb cut since they're maintaining what exists today. So it's hard to say that there's any new negative impact to the neighborhood. So yeah, I agree on moving the house forward, and the gentleman giving testimony didn't seem to think that the owners of the home would have any problem with that at all. So I think we should take him up on that.
Okay. All right. How about Judy?
Okay, I'm certainly okay with the 2 curb cuts. They're existing. I hope that the pavers look like grass. I am concerned about the length of time. I don't want to give them any more than they really need. I mean, it's a very busy area. It really is. And I hope that it doesn't cause more problems than we already have on Winton Road. I am not in favor of the variance for the rear setback, even though they're moving forward. It's new construction, maybe a tweak. I mean, we can't get into it, but to me, things could have possibly be tweaked. So I am not in favor of that part of it.
Okay. All right. Kathleen?
I don't have a problem with the curb cut. I support the idea of maybe moving it that foot forward to try to as a compromise, just to kind of meet partly in the middle. To me, it's a beautiful back deck and screen porch. I certainly understand their desire to have that eating and separate sitting area. There are 2 things as I was stating earlier that give me pause. One, I'm concerned about the noise, and I don't know what we can do to help with that. But as a person who recently sat through a summer of construction, it was a very bad summer. They were imploding a garage at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. They did concrete cutting at 8 o'clock on Sunday mornings. To the extent in a neighborhood that we could talk to put some type of additional noise restrictions in, I would think that that would be helpful, especially if this is going to last a year. And whether it, even if it's not for the construction itself, perhaps for when they tear down the house, I just think that would be important.
Kathy, if I could, this is Ken. Just so you know, the noise ordinance we have in place in the town already restricts construction time. I'm sorry what happened in your neighborhood, but construction activities are not supposed to take place before 9 a.m. on the weekends. It's I think it's 9 to 6, Rick, if I'm not mistaken, on
For
Saturday and
weekends
Sunday, and 7 to 7 during Monday.
Right, during the week.
But even, and we certainly had them. They were there, you know, again, trying to be quick about it, but there was a 2 to 3 month delay. And it's not all about me, but it's really, it's very difficult to have an explosion crack of dawn in the morning. The idea that everyone, particularly in a pandemic, the idea that everyone is off and out of a home even at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, I think is a thing of the past. And I think that there are families who have people sleeping at 7 a.m. and even to some extent at 9 a.m. That's the noise ordinance, and I support that, but it does, it's worth, to me, it's worth talking about, that I think that the neighbors will find it burdensome to go on for a year. And when you're blowing things up, that's a real problem.
Let me just make a comment on that. You know, the changing the hours of the noise of the property maintenance and noise ordinance to meet those requirements would be a bigger undertaking than us conditioning something like that. Because if they didn't need any variances, we couldn't apply those restrictions on them. So I don't think it's fair that, you know, that one house that's being built has these restrictions and a house right next door that's being built wouldn't have those restrictions. So it's kind of a bigger issue than the zoning board trying to place hours of construction on a project instead of trying to change the noise ordinance. And I think it even talked about in the property maintenance ordinance also to meet those issues.
And thank you. I just wanted to, like I said, to me, that is the concern of the project, that it is a year-long process of it. And maybe that's the thing, as a Brighton resident, maybe I should talk to, you know, I understand we're going to have a very helpful new town attorney. Maybe he could help me figure out a way to talk to Brighton to say, these are pretty antiquated times. People don't really live in a time period where the house is up and active at 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. anymore.
Okay, very good. That's fine. Okay, let's see who, let's see, Jane, Ed, do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I guess I'm the only one who is concerned about the curb cut, but I'll tell you why.
Sure, go right ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, the reason why they're combining two properties. And Rick, I assume that's a administrative re-subdivision?
It is, yes.
But they're combining two, and you know, they're getting some benefits from that when they do that. Obviously, they're also making a big investment in the property. But when one of the things about combining lots is you have one lot and you usually want to keep limited access. You know, we want to have, I think, generally fewer cuts or entrances onto a roadway than more. And they're creating one big lot. I would think they could still do this with one cut there. I understand that it's pre-existing, but it was pre-existing when there was two lots. Now there's one lot. And I think they could tie in to the other driveway, especially since they're going to use these type of pavers without having the second curb cut. So at least that's my thought on that. I guess, Rick, I would ask this, is I mean, they're having a 2-car attached garage. And then they want to have a 1-car detached garage. Is that, I mean, that's kind of like 2 accessory uses
Yeah.
for garage?
Well, the code does not prohibit an attached garage and a detached garage to be on a lot. You can have 1 detached garage, you can have 1 attached garage, basically per lot. Kind of little nuance in the code that does allow people to add that extra accessory structure for the storage of a vehicle if needed.
Right.
Because
And then
we
it's
do
just a lot
limit our attached garage to 900 square feet.
Okay.
So some people want more than that, and then they come in and they request the detachment also.
Yeah. I mean, they're, I don't know quite how to put this, but I think since they're combining the lots, you know, and they're getting, in essence, another accessory structure, I think they can get rid of one of the curb cuts and just make that cleaner to the street. As far as the rear setback, you know, I agree, let's move the principal building up a little bit so that all the building is in compliance. And then as far as the variance, Rick, I think we still need to give them variance for the back deck. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that screen porch would be, instead of what, 5 feet, it'd be 4 feet.
Yeah. 4.5
less than what.
Well, I mean, we're supposed to give the minimum variances necessary to address the hardship, so. And then as far as the 2 living units for the period of construction, I think that's fairly typical. And I think we keep it a short period of time. And I would agree with that.
Okay, good.
Can I change my thought? I liked what Ed said about that second curb cut. And it did really, that was very creative and thoughtful. And I like what you said, that they could use those same pavers across, you know, the front to get to it. They sort of implied that the car wasn't going to be pulled in and out a lot. Okay, it's a fun car kind of thing. So that would eliminate.
He did not have an answer to the frequency of what was being.
I tried to get
I
that.
didn't get though that it was going to be a daily basis where they really
I don't
needed.
think he really knew, really.
He didn't know, and he didn't want to give an answer on behalf of the homeowners. I personally feel like it's a lesser environmental impact as being requested than it is currently. It's an improvement in terms of the impervious surface on the lot. And I don't have a problem whatsoever with the 2 curb cuts, personally speaking. It is an improvement over today. Currently, there is a deck on the house that is closer to the back lot line than what this screened-in porch will be. I support the idea of moving the primary structure forward a foot so that we are granting the minimum variance possible, but I don't have a problem granting that variance. And I agree with everybody else about keeping the construction time as short as possible, with the caveat that, you know, the shorter the construction time is, the more likely they will be working early in the morning to get the job done.
Yeah.
So it's hard to predict. That's a hard thing for us to
Hard to
control.
win on all those things, right? Okay, so quickly, I think, you know, from my perspective, I don't really have a problem with the 2 access points. I think it is an improvement on the lot. I'm not sure how well it would look to have that connected, meaning horizontally across parallel to the road. I'm not sure how that would look. The 1 foot, I think, is good. I don't really have a problem with the rear setback with those garages back there. And the other part is having 1 structure that's longer versus the 2 houses that are back there now. I think the scaling of that will kind of dissipate over the width. And the construction, I think, yeah, we can't win on everything, but we could try to tighten it up as much as possible.
Hey, Dennis, it's Ken. Could I offer something on that construction length? I know that's a concern that a number of the board members have expressed. And I thought Rick made a great suggestion of saying, you know, if you grant the TNR, under the code, you can grant up to 2 years in length, so eliminating it to 13 months, that's absolutely fine. I'm wondering if it might also be, and I'm the new guy here, so I don't know if you ever do this, have sort of an alternative expiration date for that TNR. which would be 13 months or 30 days after the issuance of a temporary C of O for the main structure, whichever is sooner.
That's certainly allowable, sure.
Yeah, we've done that in the past on things like
Yep.
this, so yeah, we can certainly tie it into the issuance of the C of O.
Okay, all right. So let's take them one by one then. Jeannie, you have
Yep.
number 6.
Okay, motion to approve application 1A621 based on the following findings of fact. Number 1, the applicant is requesting to maintain the 2 existing curb cut access points when combining the 2 parcels. One access will be the primary serving the new home and its attached 2-car garage. The second access will serve the detached garage, and there will not be a visible driveway leading from the road to the detached garage. Number 2, the proposed second access point will not create an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood, nor be a detriment to nearby properties, as it is to maintain the same number of access points as currently exists. For the same reason, the requested area variance is not substantial. Number 3, maintaining the existing second access to the road is a necessary element of the applicant's project design for approach to the detached garage, and is the minimum relief necessary with the least impact on lot coverage while providing safe access to the structure proposed. Number 4, as the 2 requested access points equal the number currently present on the property, the proposed variance is consistent with surrounding properties so as not to have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. Rather, there will be a positive effect as the applicant will replace the existing second driveway with grass and geogrid pavers, which will enhance site aesthetics and improve site drainage. Conditions. Number 1, the second driveway will be replaced with grass and geogrid pavers as described in the application. And number 2, all necessary ARB and building permits shall be obtained.
And I just changed that to all necessary planning board approvals and building permits shall be obtained.
I never get that right.
Well, you're not gonna get that right.
I never get that right.
Even if you got it right, he would change it. Go ahead.
I'll second.
Actually, I'm not gonna even put building permits in there because it doesn't mean a building permit. So let's just say all necessary planning board approvals shall be obtained.
Thank you for your help.
Okay, who seconded?
I did.
Okay, Jen, okay.
Hang on. Okay. Jen seconded that?
Yes.
The motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Primo,
No.
Ms. Schwartz,
No.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes,
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
and Ms. Dale.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
okay, so then next we're looking at the rear setback. So how, Rick, do you think that the 1 foot should be announced? If we, I think we're all agreeing to.
I think we take a look at those plans, determine what 1 additional foot added to that setback would be. So if it's 34, we condition that the screened in porch shall not be any closer than
5.5.
5.5, whatever that number is, adding a foot, and then just let it go. We don't even have to tell them that they got to move the house to 40 feet. That's up to them to figure out where they're
Okay.
gonna
All
pick
right,
up
that's
that
fine.
foot.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
But couldn't.
But you're right, but you want the back of the house to be.
Yeah, couldn't they just
you're right,
shrink
you're
the
right.
width of the porch?
Yes, we want the house principal to be at 40
Right.
feet.
Yes.
Well, we can condition that the house be set back 40 feet from the front property line, and the rear of the house principal structure be set back
No greater
a
than,
minimum of 40 feet from the rear property line. and grant them X number of feet of encroachment into the rear yard with the screen porch.
All right, well, we'll get to that in the conditions.
Yeah.
then. All right, we'll work.
We
through
can,
it.
we can just condition that all the way down and.
Okay. All right. All right. Does anyone have any other issue with this? Okay, let me go give it a shot then. Okay, I move we approve application 1A0721 based on the following findings of fact. One, due to the construction of a single structure versus the two structures across the two lots, the effect of the setback will be scaled across the two lots. Number two, no other means can achieve the desired result of the functionality of the screen porch as described by the applicant. And number three, the variance request is not substantial as other structures and encroachments are present in the subject neighborhood. And specifically, there are garages near 5 feet at the property line along the rear elevation. Conditions?
Do you also want to make a comment that the existing house has a current deck, covered deck that is closer than what this new screen
Is
porch
that
would
the
be?
575 or 560?
That's 575's got the deck.
Okay, so we could put a number 4 in then that says currently the structure at 575, which is to be demolished, has a covered porch area that is 28 feet from the rear setback.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, and then on the conditions then,
All right, so I think we need to do a condition that the house be set back.
why don't you go ahead, Rick, so that we don't do it twice here. You can go ahead.
No, let me just think them out though, so I just want to make sure
Sure,
that, I
sure.
don't want to make it formal at this point.
Okay.
So the house be set back at 40 feet. The principal structure have a minimum 40-foot rear setback. And then granting of the screen porch to extend 30, the screen porch may be constructed with a 35.5-foot rear setback in lieu of the minimum.
Okay, yes, okay. All right, so why don't we just make that number 1 then? Okay, and
Well, I think I want it broken out as 1, 2, and 3.
what
So
do you
condition
mean?
number 1 is the principal structure shall be
Oh,
constructed.
okay, well then I got then the standard ones too. Let me do the standard ones first.
Okay.
then. Okay.
Okay, do the standard one.
Yeah, okay, so the first condition would be the approval of this variance is based on the drawings as submitted and testimony given.
But you don't want to say that because we're changing the
And I
plan.
can't say as amended either because
No.
they offered
So
it.
don't even say that. Don't even say per the plan submitted and testimony given.
All right, we'll just go with the 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. And the permits. But that also relates to the location of the whole thing though.
Well, let's try it this way. The variance applies to the plans submitted as modified. But they didn't submit modified plans.
No, they said they agree with it, but they didn't modify it. Because it, you know.
Okay, just leave it out. Just go down
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
All right,
and
well,
then
let's,
maybe there's something else we can put.
all right,
after
let's
that.
just do the permits part. What do they need on permits?
All necessary planning board approvals and building permits shall be obtained.
Okay, so that's number 1 then. Okay. All
I want
right.
to put that as the last one, Dennis.
Okay, whichever way you want.
I want to keep that always as the last one, all right?
Oh, all right.
So let's just start with the requirement that,
So this would be number 1 then.
number 1,
Yeah, so that
the principal structure
shall be at 40 feet from the front.
shall be constructed at the 40-foot front setback.
Okay. All right.
Number 2, the principal structure shall not have shall have a minimum 40-foot rear setback.
Okay, so that's the,
And number 3, the screened in porch may be set back no greater than 35.5 feet from the rear lot line.
okay. And then the permits would be number 4 then.
Number 4, all necessary planning board approvals shall be obtained.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Rick, can you just read your condition on the screen porch again, please?
Yeah, the screened in porch or the screened porch may be set back no closer than 35.5 feet from the rear lot line.
Okay, no closer.
Yeah, that's a little better, a little clearer. Okay, do we have a second for this?
Second,
Okay, Ed?
The motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
No.
Ms. Tompkins Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Primo,
yes.
and Mr. Mites.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, on 1A08, I think the discussion then is how to craft the limitations of the time. I think Ken's suggestion was certainly reasonable of setting it and then having a time clock. I think we got to understand too that these folks, if they go through it and they live there and they move into the new house, I'm sure they'll want to get rid of the other one. So,
Yeah.
but you know, we'll never assume that, I suppose, but okay. All right. So do you have something put together, Kathleen, that you want to throw out there?
It would be helpful to make sure that I understood what Ken said one more time. If I could hear language
Sure.
proposing, that would be good.
I'm sure he would love to tell us.
So what I would propose as a condition is that the temporary and revocable permit be set to expire 13 months after it is granted, or 30 days after the date that a temporary certificate of occupancy is issued by the town for the new principal structure, whichever occurs first.
Okay, I love it. And so what I may end up doing is ask you to read that part into the record after I do it, because I could not write that fast.
Where's your stenographer? Just have them read it back. Come on.
Either way, would be
It's next month.
Okay, go ahead, Kathleen.
All right. So I move to approve application 1A-08-21 based on the following findings of fact. 1, the request is to allow 2 dwelling units to be on a single lot not allowed by code during the construction of the applicant's new home. 2, while the variance is self-created, there would not be an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be detrimental to nearby properties as the variance is temporary in nature. Moreover, due to the temporary nature of the variance, there is no evidence that there will be a negative impact on the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Conditions. Ken?
The temporary and revocable permit would expire 13 months after it is issued, or 30 days after a temporary C of O is granted by the town for the new principal structure, whichever time period occurs first.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay, Andrea?
The motion is to approve with conditions. Mr. Primo,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins, right? Ms. Tompkins, right?
Yeah. Yes,
And
sorry.
That's okay, Ms. Schmidt.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
And thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Okay. Excellent. All right, so the next one is Chadbourne with the attached garage addition and the unusual deck. So, okay. Does anyone have concerns about this?
No.
Yeah. It's kind of a slick architectural detail where he pulled that back, and it probably, when you look at it as a floor plan, it looks kind of strange, but I think it does work the way the roof lines are.
Right.
Okay. All right. So Judy?
I move we approve application 1A0921 based on the following findings of fact. The variance for the proposed detached garage addition and deck to be 3 feet from the rear lot line in lieu of the 5 feet required by code will line up with the existing rear setback of the garage, which is 3 feet from the rear lot line, creating a step back in the front, reducing a more massive look. 2, there will be no visible change to the character of the neighborhood as neighboring properties have similar rear setbacks. 3, there is vegetation that will help mitigate the variance. Conditions. 1, this variance only applies to the 3-foot rear setback for the garage addition and deck as presented in the testimony and written application. 2, all building and planning permits must be obtained.
Okay. You have a second?
Andrea, also.
Got that? I'm sorry. Who was the second, please?
Andrea.
Thank you. Motion is to approve with conditions. Mr. Mites,
Yes.
Ms. Dale,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Ms. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Primo,
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins, right?
Yes.
And Ms. Schwartz.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries.
Okay, and then our last one before the other business would be Oregonide, and they did a similar operation. I can't believe, Rick, it was over 10 years ago, but seems like it wasn't quite that long
Well,
ago.
they did one 10 years ago, but they came back in 2018 to do another one. But
Yes,
they were-
yes, yes.
Yeah, so they
But I
have
guess
done
my
it.
point was we had no issue with them and they followed through the last time and there was no problem. So obviously the good of the health of the community, I guess, to have that temporary unit there. So. Okay, anyone have any concerns about it? Okay, go right ahead.
Andrea,
Yes.
Thank you.
First, the board having considered the information presented by the applicant and having completed the required review pursuant to seeker, the board determines that the proposed project would not likely have a significant environmental impact and has made the following decision. I move to approve application 1A-10-21, all as described in the application and plans on file based on the following findings of fact. Number 1, the proposal is for a temporary revocable permit to allow a mobile PET-CT scanner trailer to be on the site where not permitted by code. Number 2, the permit is required in order to allow the care and treatment of patients while the exchange of a permanent scanner in the building occurs and benefits the health of the greater community. Number 3, the trailer will not materially impact any customer parking spaces and will be placed on parking spaces generally used by staff. Number 4, the trailer is self-contained and will not be visible from a local street, thereby eliminating any negative visual impact from nearby properties. Conditions. The permit applies only to the mobile scanner related shelter described in the application and only in the location as shown on the plan submitted. Number 2, the permit will apply for a maximum of 6 weeks and shall be completed no later than February 19th. Number 3, the proposed shelter structure should be submitted to the building department for review and all necessary permits shall be obtained.
Okay.
And just so you know, real quick, I did an end date of February 19th. That gives them an extra week past when they say the scanners.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's
done.
good. I
Yeah.
think we
Well,
always give a little bit of buffer in there.
Yeah, maybe there'll actually be some winter by then. Never know, huh?
No, thank you.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Done.
Yep.
Motion is to approve with conditions. Ms. Dale? Ms. Dale?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Ms. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Mites?
Yes.
Ms. Watson?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
And Mr. Primo?
Yes.
Ms. Tompkins, right.
Yes.
Motion to approve with conditions carries. Just so you guys heard what Andrea said regarding seeker there. With the help of council, I think we need to be a little more vigilant with our seeker determinations, especially when it comes to commercial properties. In the past, we've always kind of had a disclaimer on our decisions. But I think the times that we're in, it's probably be a little more legal with our seeker requirements. So that's why when we get into more commercial, most of the residential, besides use variances, most of the residential area variances are a type 2 action, which does not require seeker to be used. So we don't need to address it. But anything in a commercial district will be using that statement prior to making the motions.
Okay.
And
You want to
real
add
quick,
anything to that, Ken?
No, that was great. Thanks, Rick.
Okay, thanks. All right, so the other bit of talking about seeker, the other bit item that we have is the Baptist Church and Clover. The
Andrea, did you want to
board-
jump in and say something there about that seeker?
Sorry, I wasn't sure who it was.
Andrea.
yeah, well, I just had a quick question because I thought only one agency has to make the seeker determination, correct? So as long as an applicant is before the planning board is making a seeker determination, we don't necessarily need to make one as well.
Well, unless we adopt the planning boards, we have to.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We can adopt the planning board's findings. If we don't adopt the planning board's findings, then we have to make
Okay.
our own findings.
Right, and on a TNA, we have to do it, definitely, because
Yeah, TNR,
CBA is the only one that's doing the TNA.
Yeah, TNR, and it's the only zoning board seeing the TNRs.
Okay.
Now,
So-
getting into that, because this leads us right into the next item here, is that for 1075 Clover Street, the planning board has determined that it's a type 1 action. So I shouldn't say type 1, an unlisted action.
Unlisted.
Unlisted, right. So that they are going to act as lead agency on it. And because we are an involved agent, they need our approvals. We can allow them to act as lead agent and sign off on the request form that you received as part of the letter from Ramsey. If you want to challenge lead agency, we have the right to do that. But I don't know why we'd want to do that.
Right.
I don't want to.
So are we in agreement that we'll allow the planning board to act as lead agents on this project?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
And yes, Judy?
How much input can we truly have as second?
Well, again, we are an involved agent, so
Thank you.
we will get, the same information, and if we have comments, we can always share those comments as part of that, the seeker review process. Most likely, we would adopt the planning board's determination and findings at that point in time before we are going to be able to make any decisions on this project. I forgot my thought here.
The
Oh, yeah.
Brighton,
So-
the
so
Brighton
what I
Planning
need-
Board, you'll have an opportunity to have some input with.
Right.
The City Planning Board, if they were the lead agency, maybe not the same.
Maybe not the same, maybe not at all. So
Yeah, we've
Dennis, I
never had
need
an
you-
issue in the past with that.
Dennis, I need you to sign that
Okay.
letter.
All right.
If you could scan that back to me tomorrow.
Okay, that'd be great. Can
That
you
would be
also,
great.
you and Ken, maybe do all the rest of us a small favor then on this seeker determination? Maybe there's some good language that you could pop out there.
Yes, I will send that out to everybody. I just sent it
Okay.
to Andrea yesterday, but I will send that out to everybody.
Yeah,
Rick
and
Rick and I
Rick-
have something we worked up.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And Rick, I'd like to take a look at it too and,
Yep.
you know, give any input. So Andrea, just to one of your questions, if there's a lead agency that's picked and we're an involved agency and the lead agency issues a negative declaration, which means they find that the project won't have a significant adverse impact, we are bound by that determination. If they go forward and decide, issue a positive declaration and do an environmental impact statement, then typically the lead agency will issue a finding statement. And we also have to issue a finding statement. And we could, usually you do adopt or agree with their finding statement, but you can issue a different one if you want to, so.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, are we all
All
set?
right. Yeah, I think we are. Everybody good?
Hey, Mr. Gordon, congratulations on the Court of Appeals.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to really introduce myself real quickly, Dennis, to those. I
Sure.
mean, Dennis, I've known you for longer than I've known anyone here, but Kathy and Ed and Judy, I've known for a while, but to Andrea, Jen, and Jeannie, nice to meet all of you. And I will be working as your staff attorney. So if there's anything I can do to help out, let me know. I'm here as a resource for you.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Appreciate it. All right. and
Nice
then-
to meet you.
Okay, and then the last thing is Ed, I think you're ready to step up to the plate next month. I'm sure Rick will be happy to place your name.
I told Eddie to have a couple months to take.
Oh,
him out.
come on, come
I'm
on.
giving him 2 months. He's off next month. So.
Ah.
I think you should give him the Baptist church, you know?
Oh, yeah, I think I've already assigned that, Andrea.
A good, yeah, but we haven't.
No, he can have it from me. I'll let him. I had part of the Baptist church. I'd be glad
Yeah, why don't you loan one of them?
Wow.
To,
No, I think they're good the way they are.
all right,
Everybody here for next month, the 3rd of February? You're
Yeah.
not, Judy? You're not
No, I
here?
put up the
Oh,
third.
you are here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let me know if anybody has an issue.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, everybody.
All right, have a good
Any word
evening.
yet, real quick? Whole Foods applicant, any word they're gonna end up objecting and suing yet?
And we're outside of a month and I have not heard that they filed a law.
Okay.
So,
They have.
oh, they have.
have,
And-
Oh, well.
That's what
Let
you
the
get for
games
having
be-
me on the call. Unfortunately, all that
go
stuff
on.
comes across my.
How many Article 78s now, Ken?
10. 10?
At least
10?
10.
I think 10.
All right.
Yeah, it was just filed yesterday, I want to say.
Did they
Okay.
meet the 30 days?
Whenever it was, we just got it yesterday, actually.
Oh, okay.
They probably
Do you
did.
know who the judge is?
Yeah, everything's been assigned to Judge Taddeo now.
Oh,
Well,
Better than ARC.
Yeah.
can't sign it to ARC anymore.
we should limit our discussion on this.
Yes,
matter.
we should.
Yes, we
Okay.
should.
On that happy note, we will finish up here. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.